Hey y'all, it's Kobe R. Rice, and I'm back again for another weekly creative update. Um, if I look and I sound a little soft spoken, it's actually because I'm recovering from a pretty bad cold, which of course struck me the day after I completed a major milestone, which was unlucky but also sort of lucky because, if I had to get sick, right, the day after the milestone was completed is the best day for that to happen. But it still sucks. So I'm a little fatigued, in a pretty good mood, but just a little tired and needing some recuperation. So that's just what's happening this week right now. But before I get into everything that's been going on for the past 2 weeks, welcome back to the epic fantastical journey of a Black female sci-fi writer podcast. I am Kobe R. Rice, novelist, filmmaker, screenwriter slash TV writer, game designer, narrative designer, dramaturg, theater maker, director, etc., etc., etc. And this weekly podcast, actually, it's sort of becoming an every 2 weekly podcast. But this podcast is meant to chronicle my journey as a creative and as a writer to from like 0 point to like sci-fi writer infamy or apathy or anonymity, whatever my end sort of destiny is going to be. I'm chronicling my journey towards that. So welcome back. Thanks for joining me again. And let me pull up my notes. This is podcast number 96. And there are a bunch of things I would like to talk to you guys about. So I haven't quite labeled or entitled, given a title to this podcast yet. But we'll sort of see how this sort of unfolds. But the first thing I want to do is give you guys an update as to what I've been doing for the past couple weeks, creatively and professionally. And the biggest major milestone that I've hit is, ta-da! I have just finished the first iteration of the When in Rome TV series that I have been working on for the past 6 months, essentially. The first 4 months was really just me going through the plays that I was adapting from Shakespeare's Roman history tetralogy, learning Roman history and doing all that. And then the past 3 months have been spent developing the pilot, developing the series, the season, the world, the characters, and things like that. And as for as far as first iterations go, I'm actually really happy with what I have. And that's pretty much what I've been working on for the past 2 weeks, mostly. I got some other things done. But for the past 2 weeks, I've been working on finishing up the pilot itself, which came to be about 54 pages. It'll probably be an even 60 after I go back through and flesh it out. And I'll talk about how I feel about the pilot in just a second. But so I spent the last 2 weeks doing a lot of screenwriting and TV writing. I also spent a lot of my time developing what you guys see right here, which is essentially the TV Bible and the dramaturgical protocol for the thesis. And as you can see, I'm just going to show this to you guys. The final end product is pretty thick. It just is. And I'm pretty proud of it, honestly. I really am. So the final end product is about, I don't know, let's say maybe 200 pages long. That includes the 54-page pilot, all the TV Bible materials, and then the dramaturgical protocol materials. And I'm just really proud of it, honestly. This is my copy, okay? I got sort of like the nicest copy. And my advising team got copies of it, of the relevant materials. Sorry if I'm looking all crazy in the screen. I'm just trying to find a way to put this binder down without, making a huge fuss. Everybody else got copies of it, of the materials that I felt that were relevant and that I felt I could share with them. And I'm just really proud of the work that I've done. It's a major accomplishment, major achievement. You guys saw the cover. That's a nice rendition of it, but the better rendition of it I will put as a cover on this actual vlog. Excuse me. Or at least I'll give you guys a link to it, and then I'll also put it up on my on the blog posts in which this podcast is located, so you guys can check it out. Love the cover. Very excited about it. I think that there can be probably some improvements made to make it look a little bit more cyberpunk noir, but as it stands right now, I really like it. I really enjoy it. The pilot, I am semi happy with, only because I actually didn't finish the story the way that I wanted to finish the story. I had to end the pilot at a sensible ending point, not at the ending point that I wanted for the actual episode itself. And so my work for the rest of the semester is basically going to write the next 20, the rest of the pilot's probably going to be about 20 to 30 more pages, and which, puts me at more of a full-length screenplay at that point, or an hour and a half or 2-hour pilot. But I would just want to finish out the first arc of the pilot and then look at it from a bird's eye view and then parse it down. So I'm happy with the pilot as it is to a certain degree, but there is more work to be done. And I really want to see basically how a fully fleshed out Acts 4 and 5 look when I've completed my thought. So that's how I feel about the pilot thus far. And but altogether, I feel pretty positive about the work that I've done on this. So the future, again, I'm sorry I can't sound more enthusiastic. Like, I literally just lack the energy today. But what was I going to say? The next step for When in Rome is to continue developing the TV series, continue developing the world, continue developing the characters. Because believe it or not, even though I gave them this first iteration of the work, there are so many things that I want to do with character development, language development, definitely a lot of world building, bringing cyberpunk aspects of a cyberpunk world into what ancient Rome would have been at the time that these events took place. That is a whole project in and of itself, and I'm really excited about that. So that's sort of what I'm working on now. Also, evolving the characters so that they're not necessarily direct reflections of Shakespeare's characters in his Roman history tetralogy, but and not also direct reflections of the real life people from Roman history. I want their stories to be solidly based on Shakespeare and actual history, but I do want characters to also take a life of their own, on their own, and as they would sort of unfold naturally in this super sci-fi dark world, So there's a lot of evolution that I can improve upon in that respect as well. So that is what I'm looking forward to doing for the rest of the year. And I believe I will be releasing the first 2 episodes in prose novella format of the When in Rome serialized novel series at some point by the end of the summer, the latest. So I'm really excited about that. I am really amped to develop this project further in the TV realm and also in the novella series realm. And it's always important, at least for me, to have what I call the final iteration of an idea in novel format. Because as you guys know, when you write a screenplay or do a teleplay and TV Bible, those are really solid, interesting executions of your idea, but they're not the final execution. They're not the final product. The actual episode for television is the final product. The actual feature film that is based off of your screenplay, that is the final product. So as a novelist, I want to make sure that I own the rights to my final product of the When in Rome's series, which would include the 50 novellas in that entire episodic sort of saga. And I'm really excited to just move forward with it, basically. So, what else has been going on? Graduate school has been, I'm looking at my notes here, has just been grad school, honestly. And I do have a bunch of other things I have to complete before the end of the semester. But it's typical things like grading, papers. I finished out, thankfully, one of my GTA grading responsibilities before the spring break. So that was a couple of weeks ago that particular responsibility ended, which gives me a lighter load now, and that's nice. But it's not as helpful to me now as it would have been had my time crunch been reversed, But whatever. Water under the bridge, and we're moving forward. But between grading and this last class I have to finish out, graduate school looks pretty much in the bag. This is not just for the class I have to take and the grading I have to do, but it's also with regard to my master's thesis defense and also my portfolio defense. So those are the four, I guess, that's not four, this is four. Those are the four major milestones I have to hit and pass before I can get my degree, but the degree is pretty much in the bag at this point, and I'm really excited. The master's thesis was the biggest hurdle that all of us had in front of us, and so I have cleared that hurdle, and I'm excited about that. And despite the fact that classes do not end until the 1st of May, I myself will be starting my senior spring pretty much the first week of April. Like, Colby is officially checked out. I had to stay invested and stay involved. Like, I didn't even have a Christmas break, really, because we were working on the master's report, not the thesis. So we did master's report, then we did master's report defense during January, and then January, February, March was the thesis. And now basically I'm just finishing up some last little things across all of my different areas of life. And as of literally April 1st at 2:30 p.m., my senior spring begins. Do not ask me for anything. Do not hope for anything. Do not assume I'm going to be a part of anything. Colby is officially on mental, emotional, and physical vacation. You guys know that I'm working with a writing partner, and we are co-writing a novel. It is called Everdark for the Souls and Shadows USA Today best-selling box set that we are aiming. Basically, we're trying to use this box set to get on to the USAT list. And the box set will be released on July 16th on all retailers. And Everdark will be a part of that box set. And we're pretty much done with the novel. We have to add, I know I have to add 3 chapters, like short mini chapters, and then like another shorter mini chapter. And we are, I think, hopefully sending off our novel to our editor this week. And then we're going to go through, a series of edits and then send it off to the proofreader and then, make those edits and then we're done. Praise God. And so that's something that I'm working on this week, or at least trying to, despite the fact that I'm exhausted. And I'm also working on, in addition to editing and finishing Everdark, I'm also trying to finish up the final edits for the lock-in so that I can create a paperback version of the lock-in and have that released by March 31st. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm not sure if that will happen at this point in time because, again, I was unable to jump right from the thesis into something different because my body is literally just telling me to slow down. And I think I'm going to talk about that a little bit today. You guys know that I'm really big on self-care, and when I'm not engaging in self-care, it takes a really heavy toll on me mentally, emotionally, physically, and I think my body really is rebelling at this point. especially with coming down with like my third cold this year, which is essentially unheard of. Like, I very rarely get sick. And this semester, that is not the case. So clearly something is happening. So, guys, I think that I've learned a lot of lessons from these past 3 months, honestly. But I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is to follow your compass, my compass, and to follow your instincts and to listen to your body. And listening to your body doesn't only mean listening to your physical body, but listening to your heart, your spirit, your instincts, your mind, your intuition. That's all part and parcel of listening to your body. And this semester, I think, has been a really big challenge for me for a bunch of reasons that have to do specifically with me pushing through on obligations and projects and, just other life things that are not genuinely in alignment with who I am. And I think that's a problem, I think. And I think, without being too vague, I'll get into specifics in a second, but I think the more that I force myself to engage in situations and projects, etc., that were not in alignment, the more that my body and my state of being was knocked out of alignment. Hence me being tired, hence me being frustrated, hence me being emotional, and hence me getting sick. Because when you're stressed out and you're tired, and you're not giving your body the nourishment it needs physically and mentally and emotionally, your body will get out of whack. It will rebel, and your immune system will be repressed. A lot of your body's natural functions and natural leanings will be repressed, and that leaves you open and it leaves you vulnerable to infectious agents of like the body and the spirit. I know this sounds a little metaphysical and woo-woo to you guys, but I'm just talking specifically about how I experience the world and my personal experiences. This is not something I've read off the internet or that I listened to a bunch of woke people or highly spiritual people say to me and that I'm regurgitating back to you. I'm literally just telling you guys what my personal experience is with my health and with my sort of spiritual and emotional well-being. And I find that a lot of the quote woo-woo that's out in the world about spiritual health and emotional health is spot on. At least I've seen it reflected like that in my life. So a couple of examples where, I haven't really been in alignment and I have paid for it in some way or another. One is with graduate school. And you guys know, for the past year, almost year and a half, after I decided to take a step back from the politics, my life improved 1,000%. And for the most part, I have been trying to do that as well this semester. But I've also found myself sucked back in to the politics a little bit more. And, I'm trying to still stay on the fringes, but my natural instincts to rush in and like be a savior or to keep things together, I'm fighting those. And when I give in to those, I find that it doesn't bode well for me. Especially because even though I have changed my expectations for myself in that area, other individuals apparently have not changed their expectations of me when it comes to what they think I should be doing to help the school or the department politically. And, I get that when somebody's articulate and strong and fierce and has the courage to stand for what's right, you want to lean on them to push forward a certain agenda or push forward a certain belief or a certain action that you have planned. I get that, but other people are gonna just have to learn how to be strong. Recently, I decided to step back from a certain political discussion and a political endeavor that's happening in our department. In the school, really. It's not really just our department, but, I've taken a step back to focus on me and the things that I want to do. And I got some pushback. I got a little bit of pushback when I have to take time for me and to take care of me or things that are happening in my existence and my circle in my life. People who are used to being able to lean on you to be like, the mouthpiece or the workhorse or the person who comes in to save the day, they don't like when you take time for yourself. It's just true. They don't like it. They don't like when you are not making yourself available for their agenda or the plans that they have for you. But what is the worst thing about that is that my spirit and my body hates it even more when I force myself into those situations to save the day. Sometimes Colby needs to be saved. And that's just the bottom line, You guys know I already have a daughter, and I have to be her superhero. I don't have time to be everybody else's superhero, especially if I'm not getting paid for it, I'm sorry, I'm not an Avenger. I do not save New York City for free. That's just not how I roll. And that's just how it is. The only person I do that for is my child and select family members, when necessary, and select friends. But those relationships, aside from being a mom, all those relationships are also reciprocal, right? When dealing with bureaucracy and politics and being the savior and the mouthpiece and, being the Ocasio-Cortez of the department, that is a one-way relationship where I'm giving and the political situation is taking. And I'm not engaging in that anymore. People are going to have to fight their own battles. So that's one way wherein, for the past month, I haven't been as removed as I should be from that. And this, of all times, is the best time to be removed because I have to focus myself on other things. I mean, the master's thesis is submitted, but I still have to prepare for the defense. I still have to meet certain milestones for this graduate class that I'm taking. I still have to finish grading. I still have responsibilities. I also have to put together my curriculum vitae because it's been updated significantly since I've been here over the past 3 years. I have to add in all the new experiences and things that I've, been through professionally that have helped me. I have to add those to my vita. I have to update my cover letters, and I have to start looking for employment and transitioning. And some people are really, in my opinion, either too myopic or too self-focused to understand that you yourself have needs. And in my particular case, where I am in Arizona, basically on my own, I have to give a hyper focus to my own self-care and my own needs because nobody else is going to. If I collapse, that's it. Nobody's going to rush in to save me. And so in those situations, and on my single mom blog, I'm going to be talking about this a lot, about how it's not only in our best interest to put ourselves first, it's actually the best survival tactic that we have in our arsenal to put ourselves first. Because if we don't and we crumble, our entire lives and our children crumble. And I've had to remind people of that here multiple times. And I am actually pretty good with putting up boundaries, but those boundaries are not always respected. And so that's another thing I have to talk about with regard to single moms. I think I'm just going to do like a podcast on this in this series about like single mom creatives. I think that just needs to happen because there's like a special way in which we have to preserve our spirits in order to be more creative. Especially us being women, and our creative chakra is like in the womb area, and like, if we're not taking care of that, it can cause health problems and it can cause literal creative blocks. Again, this is woo-woo to you guys, but I have literally experienced this personally, so I'm speaking from personal experience. I'm going to do like a whole episode on that, but back to the whole point, take care of yourself, put yourself first, forget what everybody else is telling you about what you have to do. You don't have to do anything except be you and die. And if you have kids, take care of them. But like other than that, you're not obligated to do anybody's bidding unless you're a slave. And we're supposedly a free country in the United States. So the second place and the more significant place where I have not been true to myself recently in terms of keeping myself in alignment has been with my writing, and with my involvement in the author community. And this is not because I deliberately rushed in, trying to focus on sales over craft. That's not what I was trying to do this year. One of my main goals this year was to become more fluent in marketing. But not in terms of sell, make 10,000 a month marketing, but more so in terms of just solidifying the foundation of my marketing plan and my marketing presence in the world, in the author world. Making sure my website is fully loaded and has everything it needs to function. Building a store on my website. Revamping and updating my email drip funnel for my new subscribers who come onto my list. Engaging in activating ads on Amazon and Facebook, so it's such that they generate passive leads and passive income. Things like that to sort of, on a long-term basis, solidify my business side of being an author. However, I've found that recently, and I'm not going to be specific at this point in time, I need to wait to talk about these things, but I found that recently certain endeavors, certain things I've been doing have been solely based on what's going to get more subscribers, what's going to sell, what is going to satisfy readers. And while I care about those things, I don't care about those things nearly as much as I care about writing, losing myself in the process, and building amazing characters and just writing a really awesome story. And so, having said that, I really am strongly reconsidering what the next 3 quarters or what the next 2 quadrimesters for the year of 2019 are going to look like for me. And I found that a lot of the projects that I wanted to work on this year, I may or may not really work on them like that. I haven't decided yet, but I'm thinking that after I'm done with Everdark, I honestly just want to do what I want to do. So it's very possible that I might not be doing many more collaborations, at least for the next 4 months or whatever. That's a possibility. I haven't decided yet. I've decided that I don't want to, if, God forbid, this USAT run is not successful, which would be sad, I'm not going to do any more of those runs. I'm not really going to involve myself as much in the marketing schema. Oops, sorry guys. Not going to involve myself as much in the marketing schema and the machinery as I thought I was, because I'm finding that operating from that place is not operating from a place of authenticity with regard to the issues that I'm interested in, the projects I want to work on, the social questions that I want to ask, the characters that I want to build. The more I chase the marketing aspect of this, the farther away those other things get from me. And it really made me wonder if I just, at the end of the day, want to be a hobby writer, a really well-established, professional-looking hobby writer, with professional perspective on the hobby, as opposed to writing for a full-time living. I don't know if I want to do that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, not that I have to do that, but I think I really just want to write the things I want to write, use my publishing knowledge and my growing, my growing knowledge and the evolution of my knowledge on how to market and sell to build up a strong, rabid base of readers. And that's it. I don't know if I want to game the Amazon algorithm such that I have to have this many KU page reads versus this many sales versus this kind of ROI. I'm not sure if I want to do that. I enjoy those things. I do, but I found recently that most of the authors around me who are wonderful, amazing, and great are having more conversations about selling, marketing, and in some instances gaming the system, or trying to poach gamers of the system than they are around the actual craft. And this is not a critique of these authors. Like, these authors are going to be the ones who are releasing 8 books a year, making $20,000 a month. And that's really great. And, more power to them. But I really just want to stick to writing because I love to write. And positioning my work such that I can fully exploit the rights of each intellectual property, such that I am searchable, findable, and marketable from my website. So if, let's say, an agent is looking for new IP by a really solid, amazing sci-fi writer, right? And they hear my name and they want to go check me out and check my work out. The point of my website is to make sure that that agent or any readers or anyone can find my work easily, be able to look at the branding and know exactly what genre it is and what I'm trying to do, read the blurbs and be intrigued by them such that they buy or pick up my books, and just create a really nice, solid, tight, kick-ass package that expresses to an agent, manager, readers who I am, what I write, what I've written, and how they might want to use the work or how they might want to option the work. I feel like at this point, I'm trying to dial my involvement in the marketing selling community back such that I can solidify those things, like I said, that are going to contribute to the long-term foundational presence of myself in the world as an author. But for the most part, guys, I really think I just want to write for the love of it. And if I hit the big bucks or I get famous or whatever, then great. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to turn it down. If somebody wants to, for example, option the TV rights to When in Rome, by all means, put me on as like a, I don't know, co-executive producer or consultant or whatever. Make sure my name is there so I'm getting my check. You know what I'm saying? Because we're going to do that. But great. I have no problem with that. I can actually use that money to then sit and engage in my writing and filmmaking and game design without having to worry about overhead or like where the money's coming from, right? That's great. But as for using my writing as my weekly or monthly bread and butter and treating it like a job, I don't know if I want to do that, because it just puts a lot of pressure on something I really, really love, and it turns it into a chore. And as a writer, as an artist, I need time to breathe. I need time to step away from a work, step away from a manuscript. I need to have some time to, for example, put the novel down and focus on a screenplay that I'm writing, or put a screenplay down and continue the design document for a game I'm designing. Like, I need that kind of flexibility. And I think the only way to really get that flexibility is to have my income coming in from something more steady, something that is not creatively, emotionally, and intellectually draining, but that I'm, good at. And then just engage in these things on a hobby level until one of these things takes off. And being a hobbyist doesn't mean that you're a lazy writer. I would still want to come to the computer and work on my art every single day. Work on my story every single day. It just removes a lot of the capitalistic pressure of making a product or a property successful. And I think I need to follow that star right now. Because after Everdark is done, I really would like to get back into writing my Books of Ezekiel series, book number 4. I really want to get into writing the first book or continuing the first book of the Asylum series that's just been in my mind for the past, like almost 4 years now. It's been percolating. It's just time to get it out, I really want to continue developing the urban fantasy world for the Godsman series, the For Never File series, and for the Hitmen of Happily Ever After series. These are all projects that I really want to just like get done, and not get done just to reach the end of the product, but like I want to start swimming and engaging and exploring. I have all these wonderful worlds that are unfolding in my mind and spirit, and it's just important for me to get back to those worlds. And maybe after I'm done playing for about a year or two, I might get more serious, so to speak, about marketing and selling outside of the basics, outside of having a good website, outside of Amazon ads, and outside of email marketing and building up a list. But for right now, as for marketing and selling, those are the only 3 things I really want to focus on. And maybe the 4th thing, becoming more active and more engaging on social media, Yeah. And the thing is like, again, it's not to say that I don't like the marketing and selling aspects. That's really important. I do really enjoy that part of the process. But when I start hearing more conversations and being drawn more into the how do I, tweak my ads so that I'm making $500 more a month, or, I'm reading blogs about book stuffing scams and, book recycling scams and KU scams and all that. And people are losing their minds over all this stuff in the industry because it's cutting into their check and diminishing their coin. I get a little bit frustrated. It's not because we do need to have these op-eds. We do need to have these discussions about money. That's important. It's so important. But right now, I just want to swim and float and glide and just marinate in the craft and in the love of writing, because that's why I'm here. When I stop loving it, there's a problem. And so I went on that whole long spiel, guys. I didn't mean to, but the whole point of this second half of the podcast, I guess, is just to remind myself and to remind you guys that the love comes first. Love comes first. That's what I'm going to name the podcast. Love comes first. And I am in love. I am in love with my writing. I really, really am, and not only my specific writing, but I'm in love with writing. I've loved it since I was 10 years old. And prior to that, before I knew how I could really write, I loved to read. These are the things that I love to do. And recently I've just been taken away from that. I've been removed from just diving into fiction and nonfiction and the love of learning. You guys haven't heard me talk about Creative Uni really at all this year. And that's because I've just been removed from that place. And I want to get back to not just the reading and the learning and the development of my skills, but also the writing and the creation and the process and just the beauty of skipping through the ether and having these moments of discovery and synergy. I need that. If I don't have that, I could not care about marketing or selling or ads or algorithms, or gamers or whatever, people who game the system. I could not care any less about those things if I'm not enjoying the writing. So that's one thing that I have really learned. With the most recent project I'm on, I've had to come to terms with the fact that I am writing this project with an end goal in mind. And I'm going to do my best to finish out the project as strong and as efficiently as possible. But after March is over, like I said, come April, it is senior spring. And it's also my writer's spring, There's going to be rain, the sowing of seeds, you know, the springing up of rosebuds and flowers. Like spring is supposed to be the time of growth, rebirth, specifically sunshine, new hope, new ideas, new directions, you know, and that is where I want to be right now. I think it's actually an apt metaphor because I'm sort of coming out of the winter of my writing projects, which kind of goes with the seasons, and literally officially entering the spring of my writing projects. And so I'm trying to develop a brand new or a reinvigorated perspective on my love of writing. And I'm always going to put the writing first. Love comes first. So that's basically all I want to say to you guys. And again, forgive the fact that I am a little bit exhausted. That's probably also because I have not eaten. I'm going to eat right now. And I'm just going to leave this with you. Just be in love, you know, fall in love with the writing, or if you're an artist in general, just be in love with your art, be in love with the process. You can't control how people respond to the product. You can only control the process of it. So really enjoy the process because at the end of the day, it's really all that we have, right? So that's all I have to say, guys. Thanks so much for joining me again. Hopefully next week I will be in tip-top form with my body restored. Either way, in the meantime, keep it indie, stay badass, keep creating, and I will talk to you guys next week. Mwah. Bye.